And now we are joined by former NBA National Publicity Secretary and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Kunle Edun. He joins us from Warri in Delta State to speak on the legal aspect and other happenings at Saturday, October 5th local government elections in Rivers State. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us in Galaxy TV News. Okay, all right. So there is so much confusion ahead of tomorrow's local government election in Rivers State, which the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, says must hold, despite the Federal High Court Abuja order stopping INEC from providing the register. How do you see this, taking into consideration that the governor says RCEC has another court order in Port Harcourt giving it the go-ahead?
Thank you very much. It's quite unfortunate what we are seeing that is playing out in Rivers State. I think all parties ought to abide by the rule of law. If you recall very well, sometime in July this year, the Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered a landmark judgment concerning the financial autonomy of local governments in Nigeria. And the Supreme Court said that all local governments in Nigeria, that they have financial autonomy and that the local government must be run by democratically elected governments. Elected government, that is officials that are democratically elected, not appointed. And this judgment was delivered in July this year, 2024. So, pursuant to that judgment of the Supreme Court, I understand that the various states, governments in Nigeria, they commenced the process of conducting elections for the local government officials. Some states have already conducted theirs, and Rivers State is due to conduct it tomorrow. But we later got to understand that a High Court delivered a judgment restraining the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission from handing over its voters register for the purpose of conducting election. I'm not in a position to query or challenge the judgment of the court. The judgment of the court is sacrosanct. However, the question will be, if the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission can conduct the election without the voters register, then goods to go. Or if the voters register had earlier been handed over to the Electoral Commission, goods to go. So they can always find a way to comply with the judgment of the Supreme Court. I am most particular about the judgment of the Supreme Court because by virtue of the provision of Section 287 of the Constitution, the judgment of the Supreme Court supersedes all judgments. It is superior to the judgment of the Court of Appeal, superior to the judgment of the High Court, any other court in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, all courts, all personalities, all institutions, all government agencies and persons in Nigeria are duty-bound to respect and obey the judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And the judgment of the Supreme Court is very, very unequivocal to the effect that local governments can only be run by democratically elected officials. And we all know that presently that the Rivers State, the local government in Rivers State, that the tenure of the past local government officials had expired and another election is due to be run. So I will enjoin all parties to respect the judgment of the Supreme Court. However, if any of the parties is dissatisfied with the judgment of the High Court, of course they can very well appeal. That is their right. But the question would be, is the Supreme Court and the judgment of the Supreme Court, which one is more superior? So I will always subscribe to the judgment of the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, to be respected. And by the way, I recall very well that my Lord, the present Chief Justice of Nigeria, who was sworn in substantively as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, my Lord, Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, did warn against courts of the same coordinate jurisdiction entertaining the same case based on the same facts. So in this case, we have a judgment court, judgment of the Federal High Court, governments coming from left, right, everywhere on the same subject matter. Whereas the Supreme Court has already decided this issue. I expect that in view of the position, in view of the decision of the Supreme Court, that every other court will simply kowtow to the Supreme Court judgment and refuse to entertain any subject matter concerning this particular issue respecting the election of local government officials. So as it is now, I am about to say that the Rivers State government and its officials, they have not complied with the judgment of the Supreme Court, which is contemptuous. So I will urge them to do the needful and comply with the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Okay, all right. So under the law and constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, can the local government election go on with the register RCA claimed it has and without INEC register after claims by the governor that 10 states conducted their local government election with the 2023 register?
The local government register is an important document. It's very mandatory before an election can be conducted because it contains the names and particulars of all the registered voters in any particular vicinity or locality. It's very, very important. Now, we wouldn't know whether before the judgment was delivered, whether the register had actually been transmitted to the appropriate bodies or authorities to conduct the election. We wouldn't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, and I'm not in a position to advise them how to do it. But all I know is that the judgment of the Federal High Court, the bit I read, did not restrain Rivers State government from conducting any election. It only talked about the local government register. How they're going to do it, I don't know. But there's no, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not aware of any judgment of court restraining the conduct of local government election in Rivers State. If there's any judgment that actually pertains to that, then I would wonder how it would be, because the Supreme Court has already decided on that issue, that all local governments must be run by democratically elected governments. And if any step is taken by any government agency or authority or body towards compliance with the Supreme Court judgment, I do not see that as being contentious. I do not say it. Because the Supreme Court, like I said earlier, is the apex court of the land. So how they're going to do it, conducting the election without a local government register, I wouldn't know how they're going to do it. However, but the Supreme Court must be respected. That is my position.
Okay, all right. We thank you so much for joining us on our news at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that was Edun, former NBA chairman.